Hello everyone, welcome to the Man of Attentive Music. So, a little while ago I released a video pairing up a Midiverb 3 with a Boss heavy metal pedal. I was trying to get, kind of close to that original My Bloody Valentine sound, and today I thought it would be nice to compare the Midiverb 3 with something a little bit more modern, a pedal that many shoegazers love, which is the Hardwire RV-7 or Digitech RV-7. Both units are packed with fantastic gated and reverse reverbs, and actually they have a lot more than that to offer, but for today's video I decided to kind of compare, the gated and reverse reverbs on both of these units, and of course pairing them up with the same Boss heavy metal pedal I use on that video, and try to see how does a vintage unit like the Midiverb 3 compare to a more modern equivalent, let's say something like that, like the RV7 Reverb. As a matter of fact, I know My Bloody Valentine didn't use the Midiverb 3 for recording. Apparently they only used Midiverb 2, but I read online that algorithms on these two units are pretty close, and the Midiverb 3 is the only thing that I could get my hands on because the 2 is kind of rare here where I live. As for the Hardwire RV-7, it's one of my all-time favorite reverb pedals. I love using it with my band. I love using it in the studio for studio recordings. It's a powerhouse of a reverb pedal because it's very versatile, and it's kind of in line with that old vintage rack thing because it doesn't have like shimmer reverbs and very experimental reverbs. I would say the most experimental reverb that it has is the reverse reverb, but it's pretty much in line with what the Midiverb 3 and 2 rack units offer. The Midiverb 2 has the bloom setting, but yeah, we're not comparing that today because the 3 doesn't have it. And yeah, let's see how they sound. the reverse reverb comparison, the mix on the Midiverb 3 is set all the way up since the Hardwire RV-7 removes completely the dry signal of the guitar when you set it to the reverse mode. So it would have kind of a fair comparison. I should also say that the Midiverb 3 doesn't offer any kind of, tonal shaping possibilities. The reverb is what it is. There's no tone control. There's no liveliness control like there is on the Hardwire RV-7. So I tried to set the RV-7 to kind of match the tone of the Midiverb 3 reverbs. I tried to get as close as I could, okay? I wasn't kind of nitpicking anything. The gated reverb comparison was the hardest one to make because the RV7 has kind of a presetted dry signal kind of retains your dry signal intact, and then it adds up the gated reverb on top of that, whilst the Midiverb 3 allows you to completely cut off your dry signal and only use the gated reverb wet signal. So I had to try to look for a balance on the mix knob of the Midiverb 3, and I kind of found that on around 60%, 65% on the mix knob on the Midiverb 3. So I think that's like windy enough, just as the Hardwire RV-7. And again, there's no tone control on the Midiverb 3, so we had to go with the liveliness knob kind of set to where I thought they sounded similar. And yeah, it's pretty much the same as with the reverse reverb. I tweaked it a little bit, but it was pretty close. There's something I need to say to you guys before we start to talk about the reverbs. I love both of them, okay? I would use the Midiverb 3 for certain situations and the RV-7 for other situations, so I don't prefer one over the other. I think both sound amazing, and that's the thing that I love about collecting reverb pedals and reverb effect racks. Each company has kind of its own algorithm to create ambient effects, so you're always going to get something different. Now that this is out of the way, so the RV-7 sounds a lot more full, and I think it reproduces the frequencies of the guitar playing a little bit better, you know, with a little bit more quality than the Midiverb 3. That's not to say that one sounds better than the other, okay? I'm just saying that you can hear that there's a lot more low-mid information on the guitar played through the RV-7, whilst playing the guitar through the Midiverb 3 takes out some of the low frequencies and low mids. You end up with a thinner sounding guitar sound. But that's not to say they're bad, okay? Again, both are good for different situations. That's probably due to the limitation of the Alesis rack unit because of the time that it was produced. But I think both sound really good. It really depends on what you're looking for. So if you're laying lots of guitar tracks with gated reverb on a mix, I would say, I don't know, probably pick the Midiverb because it sounds a little bit thinner, and the RV-7 for tracks that you want to be a little bit more in your face because it has more bass response, if you can put it like that. And I think the same can be said about the reverse reverbs on both of these units. The RV-7, of course, packs more decay time into it, whilst the Midiverb 3 doesn't have as much decay time available. But again, both can be used for different things. The original My Bloody Valentine sound was crafted with these low decay reverbs because that's all that was available at the time. Using both in a mix, for example, in a song would be amazing because it would have different reverse reverbs filling up the space, or different gated reverbs for that matter, filling up the space with different characteristics, you know. So comment below what you liked and what you didn't like about these units, and which one do you think sounded better, if anything sounded better or just sounded different. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope I see you on my next upload. Please consider subscribing and give this video a like if you enjoyed this content. Goodbye.